I think this is the existential question, right? And there's a fine line that we walk, and I think I've been trying to walk this too, between the look, we told you so, this is not hard to see how fragile things are, and like, what do we do now? Because the reality is a lot of the things that we do now would have been nice to have been done a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Um, I think the most urgent one right now is going to be small business. And if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen that I'm a little bit upset about the bailout provisions. The trillions of dollars that we're now going to spend are largely not going where it should go, to families, not going to where it should go is the Main Street businesses. These are places that are hurting and need the help to get through next week. They're literally, the money is going to bail out the financial system. It's going to bail out all the places that are over financialized. And I shared a thing about the Cheesecake Factory. The Cheesecake Factory, let it be known to the people that own their buildings that they're not going to be paying their rent. And the reason that made financial news, because I can tell you what, the little deli up the street from me and the little coffee shop, they're not going to be paying their rent either because they got no income, but that's not going to be in the newspaper. And the reason that's not going to be in the newspaper is because that's a kind of a local, small, little tremor in the force that people are going to have to figure out and work through. But when Cheesecake Factory doesn't pay their rent, that rent is actually part of a bond that has been sold and securitized and wrapped up with a bunch of other bonds. And that's going to force that bond into insolvency. And that's when you see the systematic collapse of the bond market. And so all of a sudden that becomes like a big deal. What I've been trying to point out to people is that if the coffee shop up the street doesn't pay its rent, and let's say the landlord says, well, we're going to foreclose on you, we're going to kick you out, like you're done because you didn't pay your rent in April, you didn't pay your rent in May, what's going to go in there? It's not like there's another person like sitting around with a bunch of capital waiting to start a coffee shop. Like the whole economy is tanked. No one's going to be starting a coffee shop in May. And so the reality is if we pick things up in June, we pick things up in July, we pick things up in August, that local coffee shop is going to be able to find a way to come back because it's going to be in the interest of the property owner, in the interest of them to make that happen. The Cheesecake Factory is gone. I mean, like if they don't pay their debt and their bond gets wiped out, all of their daisy chain of finance that allows them to operate is gone. And this place is not coming back. It's not coming back. So the number one thing that we can do right now in local communities is to support our small businesses, help them through this crisis, help them stay on their feet, help them get to the next step. And then when things start to abate and people can come back and consume, go help them then and try to get them to a place where they can be stable. They are literally the foundation from which our communities are going to be rebuilt. And so we're talking about federal aid. I mean, I've tried to look for they haven't published the bill. So all we're getting on the bill is like things that people are saying about it. We don't actually know the specific details except like broad amount of money is going here, broad amount of money is going there. I think that, if we're looking at the local level, I would like to see mayors, local economic development agencies. We're at the point right now where they need to go to bat and actually fight for, if we want to use a financial term, the liquidity of those systems to serve small businesses. The people who have teams of lawyers, the people who have teams of advocates and lobbyists, the people who are tied into the financialization system, they're first in line. And this money is like wired for them. If we want our local businesses to get them, our mayors need to stand up right now today and demand it, and demand that their local Main Street entrepreneurs, the people who are really suffering in this in a way and are going to be the foundation of this rebuilding, that they also have an easy path to access some of this capital as well.